The board of directors, shareholders, business professionals, specially invited guests, customers, and students from various secondary schools recently came together at the Finance Administrative Center at Pointe Seraphine for the Stanley French Educational Forum hosted annually by First National Bank. The event was created in honor of the memory of the late Stanley French and aims to address and provide insight into topics of national, regional, and international banking interests for discussion. According to the chairman of First National Bank, the presence of secondary school students for this year's forum is in keeping with the spirit of the late Stanley French and what he stood for.
I think for the first time we have the students of secondary schools with us this morning. A special welcome. I think your presence here this morning certainly reflect what Stanley French stood for the minority shareholders. So we hope at least you'll use that opportunity to build on that level of success.
The 2023 lecture was based on the topic From a Penny Bank to a $1 Billion Institution, featuring presenters Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and Mrs. Andrea St. Rose, President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of the Eastern Caribbean. According to Dr. Jules, until the advent of First National Bank, banking was the privilege of the colonial elite.
In 1938, the political and social upheavals of that decade were the birth pangs of a nascent nationalism. Enter stage left a modest financial institution, the St. Lucia Cooperative Bank, which was appropriately called the Penny Bank. It was the first indigenous bank, and it accepted deposits of a penny, 2 cents. The names of the boards of directors of the bank will be familiar to many, for these were visionaries who left an indelible mark on commerce and development of St. Lucia.
The other guest speaker, Mrs. Andrea St. Rose, presented on the ease of doing business within the banking space, covering topics such as de-risking and correspondent banking relationships, ECCB regulations.
And of course, many of you would have experienced in the past a certain level of frustration, if I may want to call it that, when dealing with the banks. When trying to open an account, trying to apply for a loan, you just cannot understand, why does it take so long for the loan to be processed? Why is the bank asking me all those questions? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Who is my father's father? But there's a reason for that.
The late Stanley French was a pioneer in the banking sector as well as an advocate for education. The board of directors and senior staff are committed to hosting the series of educational forums in honor of his name, family, and legacy. All lectures can be found and viewed online via the bank's website. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.